Hello. Today is July 20th of 2026, and I want to talk about Pluto. Pluto is arguably the most important planet in astrology, arguably because it depends on which school of astrology you are working in. But from my perspective, Pluto is the most important planet. And it's the most important planet because it is the widest context that we can give ourselves in order to understand the why of what's going on. So, the why is the reason most people come to astrology. Most people come to astrology because something's not working in their lives or because something isn't explainable through other frameworks. Now, of course, I've known people who were kind of born into an astrological family, and there are obviously 1,000 infinite other ways one can step into astrology. But I think for the most part on Earth right now, people have entered astrology out of desperation, if you will. And Pluto is nothing but a planet of desperation, fortunately or unfortunately. And that is because it drags you deeper and deeper and deeper into the mess and the muck until you have evolved and you can come back up out the other end. So, wherever Pluto goes in the sky, which is right now in the sign of Aquarius, it is generally around a 20-year process here on Earth as we are experiencing it. And so, this is nothing that happens overnight. It is a 20-year process that people go through collectively, so as a society, as a globe, and of course, individually. Now, Pluto transits to a natal chart are more specific. So that's where astrology can be so incisive and powerful when you're going through an intense Pluto transit. So, for example, right now, people going through a Pluto transit will be anyone who has planets in their birth chart around 4 degrees, anyone. Any sign of 4 degrees, and that's because Pluto will be putting exact pressure on that planet from anywhere it goes. And what is the pressure that Pluto in Aquarius puts on any other planet? Well, it is the fact that you can't stay the same. You have to transform. You simply cannot stay the same. And you're going through a process of transformation. Okay, so the exact timing and the, level at which you are transforming right now, again, very much so depends on where you're at as reflected by the Pluto transit in your chart. But zooming out to everyone right now, Pluto in Aquarius is transforming the definition of humanity itself. And within the next 18 years, the early 2040s, we will not be identifying ourselves the same way as we do right now. And thank God for that, right? So, Pluto, while it does drag you down deeper and deeper until you really actually change, and not only you just change, but you're strong enough to go back out and go back up into the world. If Pluto's the underworld, you have to go as many times as you will be strong enough to go up again and be changed and not be dragged back in to learn the same lesson. So in Aquarius, this is the lesson of who you are and the edge of how you know yourself. So you are being tested. Every single person and our entire collective is being tested, pushed to the edge, to the edge, to the edge. And we're not used to being pushed to the edge of who we know ourselves to be. And we are expanding that definition of who we are, what our purpose is individually, and the existential grief that comes along with that question. Because we're not used to collectively accepting the fact that our identities are dynamic, that they are changeable, and that there is an unknowable part of us that isn't dictated by what is already constructed in the world right now, but that's becoming more and more of the path forward. And we're not going to be able to get beyond that. So understanding that Pluto in Aquarius is the backdrop, is the reason, is the ultimate context for everything else going on right now. You are not who you think you are. You are the edge of who you know yourself to be. So doing the Pluto work, which is actually confronting a lot of anxiety, it is confronting a lot of uncertainty. It is going into the hypothetical process, the hypothetical exploration, almost scientific, experimental exploration of who you know yourself to be, instead of climbing a certain ladder. So that is the ultimate context of exploration that we individually need to locate ourselves within. Our center of gravity needs to be within exploration right now, more so than it needs to be within a certain fixed identity. And this has always been the process, I think, of evolution, of people knowing themselves, but it simply at this time just means that everyone is going to be going through this. It's becoming more and more important collectively, globally, for individuals to know themselves, for groups to know their own limits, for groups to test their own limits by trying to reach a horizon. But ultimately, that horizon we never reach it. And that's the trick with Pluto and Aquarius, is we can keep pushing and pushing outside of ourselves and experimenting and get exhausted because we're chasing a horizon. You know, you can't ever actually reach the horizon. Even if you do an experiment and get the results you want, then what? So this whole orientation of achievement is really the one that is switching, that is changing, that is being brought down, killed, strengthened so that you can go back up. Okay, I think the biggest part of Pluto and Aquarius and the biggest part of the astrology of our times right now is getting so strong in this process of dying in the experiment that you can actually go right back up. So the time it takes to get back on your feet after failure, the time it takes to reorient your mind or change your mind is quickening, because the context of who you are and what your possibilities are is growing. You're seeing more land, you're seeing more horizon, right? And that means you want to understand the power of the potential. And so this directly ripples out into your groups of people that you hang out with. It directly ripples out into how that group interacts with other groups, let's say in the city you live in, right? And so this doesn't have to be some deep psychological experiment or expression right now. You can look at your life outside of you and see what are the dynamics that you're a part of. What are the dynamics that you're resisting in collective, in group? What are the dynamics you're contributing to? Are you leading groups? Are you participating in groups? And it's not to say you need to be right now. It's to notice where your perspective within that context is. Because Pluto and Aquarius, that's where we look outside to it. And if you're not feeling into the groups, then is there a specific academic study or scientific interest, let's say technology or AI, that has most of your attention right now? And is it balanced? That's the next question with Pluto, because Pluto will bring you out of balance wherever you are within those groups. And the point with Pluto is it doesn't care how out of balance you get. Pluto only cares that you, at some point in the process, find your own power that is not derived from the group, that is not derived from the technology, but coexists with it. And that's where we get this logic of Jupiter on the other side of Pluto right now. So the question to ask yourself is, what are your group dynamics right now? What are your intellectual pursuits? What is your relationship to technology and the change of technology? Because that is the realm of Pluto and Aquarius that we are dealing with, that we are working with right now. And do you feel a type of whiplash? Like, do you feel like you can go into this, and then have to come back out? How quickly are you able to come back up, right? What kind of brings you down a deep hole? Because that's very Pluto. When you're down a deep hole of interest, could be fear, could be obsession, could be interest. These are Pluto dynamics. And Pluto is going to drag you through it until you recognize your own power. And the difference with Pluto and Aquarius, and let's say Pluto and Capricorn, where it has been, Pluto and Aquarius is quick. Aquarius is an air sign. These are not long, drawn out dynamics. This is rather like the repetition of a quick dynamic that brings you really deep and then spits you right back out. And then you have to try again. This is like the ultimate trying again transit, Pluto and Aquarius. We have to try for 20 years. We have to maintain the perspective of experimentation. We have to maintain the mindset that we are not who we think we are, which isn't to say, not to give us an excuse to act as ourselves, or to not to give us an excuse to act in integrity. But it is to say that the changes that happen within individuals is what ripples out collectively at this point. That's the directionality of it. So the best here is to let yourself be at the edge of who you know you are and prove to yourself that you are not who you think you are. You are not your limitations, and you're not even your most prized interests, right? You're something else. And you go into both of these and you extend, you push the edges of what's comfortable for you. And you also go into comfort. Everything becomes an experiment. Okay? So Pluto in Aquarius is just a real killer. It's a killer of your mind. It's a killer of any obsessive tendencies or qualities that you are having in your mind right now, as they especially relate to ideas or groups. And it's not even just present ideas or groups, it's ones in the past that you are still stuck in. Pluto is trying to spit you out. Pluto is trying to strengthen you and spit you out. But you have to do it. You basically are Pluto. You have to see your own death. You have to see your own darkness. You have to see your capacity for a lack of morality. You have to see the other half of you that you don't want to see. You have to see how that ripples out into everything. Okay? So the next interesting thing to think about with Pluto and Aquarius is, of course, where is it in your chart? Where is Pluto and Aquarius transiting in your chart? What house? And of course, is it transiting any of your natal planets right now? Because let's say you are an Aquarius at 4 degrees right now, sun, moon, whatever. You are Pluto right now. You are merged with this Pluto process. And that means that you are probably going through it. But that also means that you can share your direct perspective right now as Pluto, whatever that is, right? Whereas if you are a Leo, let's say a Leo sun, and you're getting an opposition from Pluto to your sun, something outside of you that you have a direct relationship with is Pluto. And so you get to communicate with Pluto in this really direct way. Let's say it's a square, right? You have a Taurus placement or a Scorpio placement. That's going to give you a square to Pluto. And what that means is that Pluto is like poking you in the side and saying like, you got to change, you got to change. Any square to me is always like a poke, someone that's trying to stab you in the side so that, you know, you can like you can change, you can move, but it's very uncomfortable. The square is the weirdest transit, I think, especially from Pluto, because it's a side thing. Oh, hey, 3 degree Aquarius sun from Watkins Cat House. Awesome. Well, do you feel like Pluto? You know what I mean? Like you've been in and out of this. Like I wonder what's going on. You know, these are the stories. These are the real stories. And this is where astrology really becomes alive. It doesn't become hypothetical anymore. I mean, of course, we're using it as a intermediary to diagnose or to give vocabulary to things we're feeling. But you are the stars. You are the chart. You are this entire logic form. And it just so happens that right now, with a Pluto planet, Pluto transit, 3 degrees Aquarius sun, for example, Pluto is like right there and it's coming back. You know what I mean? It's retrograde now. It's moving backwards. It will hit your sun very closely again. So there's a gravity, there's a depth. That's what Pluto wants. It's not even what Pluto, Pluto is not wanting anything from you. If you're having a Pluto transit, yep, that's it. That's who you are right now. Okay, so that what I'm trying to gesture towards here of like this change in what it means to be a human, like you, Watkins Cat House 3348. That's like the person I want to know. What do you think humanity is? Because as an astrologer, I'm looking at it. I have my Uranus at 3 degrees Aquarius, which is kind of a wacky place. That means Pluto's moving over my Uranus, but that's also a generational planet. So I feel like my own logic is kind of being killed off in a way. My own intelligence, the way that I know how to experiment, is somehow being killed off. You know, it's weird because people with Aquarius placements on their own are very tuned in to experimentation. Aquarius people are very open. They're very intellectual. They're very weird. Many of you guys feel like aliens. And so when Pluto goes over there, it's weird to think that you need to change. How do you fundamentally change the process of experimentation? How do you fundamentally change the horizon line? You know what I mean? It's almost as though there isn't a horizon line anymore. Pluto kills the horizon line and says, you know, there's nothing to look into. Only the horizon within yourself. I've had a lot of change happening, but I'm here for it. Great. I love that. It's very empowered. It sounds like there's that strength of the sense of self, and that reminds me of this Saturn sextile to Pluto, Saturn trine Neptune, everything we're in right now, which is, there is a strengthening in the sense of self that allows for the change to happen, even the dramatic change, even this death that we go in and out of. The strength of the sense of self that we have between the Saturn and the Neptune right now is allowing this Pluto and Aquarius to really do the work of excavating who we think we are, while we are able to maintain a sense of self. But that sense of self with the fire signs, Saturn, Neptune, Aries, and Aries, Leo, that sense of self is very in the present moment. That sense of self is not reliant on a conception of the future, where we came from in the past. That sense of self is right here and right now, which allows for Pluto and Aquarius to change the climbing of our lives in order to become something. It's almost like Pluto and Aquarius kills this idea that we have to become something. Aquarius is so much possibility, that, again, unending horizon, the unending opportunities that we have in our lives. So Pluto's killing it. We don't have any more growth, which is, you know, that might sound weird. Of course, we're going to keep growing, but I'm saying intellectually, the buck stops here for the next 20 years. And it's all blooming from the present moment. Okay? So there's nothing, the Aquarius type of specialness that Aquarians feel, that is an interesting dynamic that I wonder if Pluto is also playing with right now and transforming. Like, Aquarians can feel very unique and very special, and as though they're not from here. Many Aquarians I know have said that they feel like aliens, and this transit is going to only make that more and more intense until we recognize that everyone belongs here, right? That this spiritual conception that we might be from somewhere else. So, oh, wonderful. Hi, Talitha. How are you? My sense of self has radically changed since last year, this time when you posted the video about the lunar nodes. Amazing. I wonder how that sense of self has changed. Like, what is the sense of self you have now versus what it was last time? I mean, I would love to hear if you want to share in the chat, but just think to yourself, right? Like, I'm trying to think for my own self. Last year, this time, I have a very my biggest issue is self-doubt, and I feel things very, very deeply. And so when I fail, I wait a very long time before starting again. Um, or I just forget that I can try again. I forget that I can allow myself to reinvent. And I think even this whole last year, because the truth is we're still very fresh into Pluto and Aquarius. I think I will say that it's not going to be until Pluto fully passes 5 degrees of Aquarius, which means it's like, because right now Pluto's still kind of close to Capricorn, right? Like if we're talking about a 10-degree orb of conjunction, Pluto is 5, which means it's only 5 degrees away from Capricorn. So, I think, of course, for people who have early degree Aquarius placements, this is accelerated. But I think in terms of the globe, how deeply this is going to be ingrained, we still have many years, right? Even though we're having these big transits right now, the trines and the sextiles, this is an enormous opportunity. But it's not going to be for many years before this becomes the norm. So this sense of self that's changing right now, I find that I have to remind myself over and over again, right? And that's why it's like I almost feel like I'm self-sabotaging all the time so that I can continue to fail, so that the lesson is reminder. The lesson is return inward. The lesson is try again. The lesson is try. And not to get exhausted with effort, but to recognize that if this spiritual idea that the truth is in the present moment, time doesn't exist, all of this, we should give ourselves the grace of not having so much self-doubt, not being so hard on ourselves, but also holding ourselves with enough self-respect to keep going, holding ourselves with enough solidity to step into roles that we want to step into. And it's not even about being humble. It's not even about climbing the ladder in the right way. This Aries present moment possibility includes integrity that we get to choose right here and right now, integrity that feels authentic and present instead of integrity we think we've earned. Because what we've earned can be taken away. What we feel from within ourselves and what we feel our unique offering to the world is, that cannot be taken away. It can feel like it is exhausted. It can feel like we've failed ourselves. I feel that all the time. But the lesson is to pick back up and try again. Not delusionally, but to train ourselves to have integrity and to be brave and to create contexts in which we can be ourselves. Whether you enjoy being happy, whether you enjoy going into darkness, like everything is very relative. It's not to say everyone has to be joy, happy all the time. There's a deep question you can ask yourself. It's like, do I want to be anywhere else than I am right now? Like fundamentally, where do I want to be right now? Am I where I want to be? That's a very, very deep question. And that's like the baseline question you should ask. And then everything should build on top of that. I've lost a lot of possibility over the last 2 years. Like I lost a lot of it's like a big weird thing that happened in my life, and I have less capacity to travel, for example, right now. But part of me doesn't even want to anymore. There's a very, very, very big part of me that actually wants to be exactly where I am. And I don't think I would have been able to be here had I not been through the last few years of exploration in a physical world sense. The type of exploration that Aquarius brings in is mental, right? This is being mentally strong, owning your mental power, knowing how to hold up in a group, even if you got to merge with that group, eventually finding yourself in that group. So, and like I said, I don't know if anyone watched this weekly video I just put out, but this is the last week we have of the nodes in Pisces and Virgo. It's a very, very quiet last week, even though we have all this stuff building. That North Node in Pisces has been this weird magnetic lock we have that says our direction is only into the ether, you know? And that Neptune, which rules the North Node in Pisces, says the truth is in ourselves. So we have to, this is this last week where we have to forge into nothingness to arrive at the truth within ourselves. On Sunday, that switches into Aquarius, okay? That means Uranus is ruling. Watkins Cast Out says, I'm a Pisces moon, 1 degree. I'm also feeling that. Look at that. The North Node is very, very close to your moon there. When the North Node was on my moon a few years ago in Taurus, I found that it was like I had to be at home. Like I really had to be, I was with my mom a lot. There was something, so materially emotional about my home. And I wonder, Pisces moons are famously finding home in the ether, in the spirit. ZN Love says, is that yesterday, Sunday, or next weekend? Next weekend. That's when the nodes switch. And so this is really this weird last week that we have. And so what happens on Sunday, and this is something I'm going to be looking out for myself, because of course I can already feel it. I'm doing many things now that require a lot more experimentation and group work. And again, that's why I'm bringing up Pluto and Aquarius in this video, because once the node moves into Aquarius, the Aquarius acceleration 10 times, 20 times, 100 times faster. Okay? And so we're already feeling into the Aquarian direction that we will be going into imminently. But right now, we still need to route it through that North Node in Pisces, Neptune in Aries, the truth that's in us, Mars in Gemini, talking about it. So talk to me about it. Like put some words out about it in the chat if you want, or do your writing, write a blog. Not because it's going to go anywhere or do anything big for you, but because that Gemini Mars wants you to process the Pisces North Node. And of course, Mercury's very, very slow right now. It's going to go direct on Thursday. And that Mercury's ruling Mars, Gemini, which is ruling Neptune, Aries, which is ruling North Node Pisces. So Mercury, Cancer, very slow right now. Deep, deep internal, emotional thought processes that we've been returning to. And that I feel it's being straightened out. I don't know. Do you feel like your emotional processing has been straightened out? Your capacity to self-advocate for your emotional process? And it's not to say it was some big, crazy conversation that needed to happen, but it was that you have to share the vulnerability in the place where you actually do feel the vulnerability can be held. But that is a brave step. That's the square, the Mercury-Saturn square we've been having throughout this Mercury retrograde. That's emotional self-advocacy, right? And that emotional self-advocacy we've been practicing is the ground, the very emotional, vulnerable, personal ground of our personal truth. So this isn't some big spiritual blah, blah, some big metaphysical concept. This is very embodied. This is very emotional. The truth is very, very soft and very vulnerable right now. And that's the internal truth that is guiding us. Okay. Now that is going to continue, but Mercury will be direct. And on Sunday, once that node switches and we are all systems go towards the North Node in Aquarius and Pluto in Aquarius, that Aquarius stuff is first ruled by Uranus and Gemini. Okay. Uranus and Gemini wants us to talk differently. We need to speak with a different language. We need to totally disrupt the data that we have and that we use to communicate with people. That disruption of data is actually the direct way that we will feel our identity transforming. Like my little way of doing that is going live like this. Like Uranus and Gemini is very much so live words, because Uranus is like a live wire. It's like a crazy live wire. And so going live, which is a very Uranian thing, in Gemini, talking, right? So there's something about words that are alive, or words that are being disrupted, or electric words. That's going to be the next step that we push into. But do you see how farther that is from what I was saying about Mercury just now? Like Uranus and Gemini is so far out. But of course, Uranus and Gemini is also ruled by the same Mercury. Okay, so the change that we get mechanically, the change that happens after this week, so on Sunday, is that the rulerships move through Uranus instead of Neptune. And what that means is we bypass the sense of self. We bypass Neptune and Aries, with the North Node at least, right? So North Node, Pluto, Aquarius, both ruled by Uranus and Gemini. Things are going to get way more detached. They're going to get less personal in the intermediary. But for the time being, until Mercury leaves Cancer, which is going to be another few weeks, the core of it is still going to be emotional. But it's going to be like we're going to have that big detached Aquarian, Uranian shift of language, and then it's going to go directly to Mercury and Cancer. Direct live wire, no intermediary, no personal truth, and then processing with Mars and Gemini, just straight Uranus to Mercury, right? Does that make sense to you guys? Should I walk through it again? This is how I do astrology mostly these days, as I look at the rulerships, the modern rulerships. Like truly, if anyone has questions, tell me. I know a few of you are watching. So that's what I think the most about. And the irony is Pluto and Aquarius isn't ruling anything, because we don't have anything in Scorpio right now. So Pluto and Aquarius is like nothing's resting on it. Zian Love says, one place in my chart I have Gemini as my rising sign. Not sure of others. Is that going to affect me the same as you mentioned going live? It's not Uranus, but it's Gemini, so not sure where mine lands. Well, Gemini rising sign, depending on what the degree of your rising sign is, this means that Uranus over the next, what is it going to be, 8 years, I think? Over the next 8 years, Uranus will cross your rising sign. And that's generally a change in how you know yourself. The rising sign, the way that I talk about the rising sign and understand the rising sign is like what your rising sign is the same as what water is to a fish, or like it's air to us, right? But it's unique to each of us. So we're all kind of living in our own aquarium, and whatever the water is our rising sign. And so it's almost like our aura. I don't see it as just a projection or what people see us as, even though that's not us. I think we very much so are identified with our rising sign, but it's a bit more unconscious. Like we take it for granted. We don't think about it very much. So to have a Gemini rising, curiosity, intellect, data, conversation that you bring everywhere you go. A lightness, clowny, jokey, generally, these are general thoughts on this, right? So, but when Uranus goes in the sign of your rising sign, until it crosses, so it's going to have 2 phases, right? It'll be before your rising sign, and then it'll cross your rising sign, and then it'll be in your first house over the next 8 years. In the 12th house, it's kind of this brewing, knowing that you will change, that like there's something changing about your body, your physical body, that there's something changing about the aura, like the air you breathe, right? Gemini is very air. So in this way, like there's literally something changing about the data, the curiosity you're bringing to the world. So when it hits your ascendant exactly, that is an exact change. I had Uranus move over my ascendant when it was in Pisces many, many years ago. And I forgot what it was. There was a lot going on in my life at that point, but This is kind of heavy, but I'm not saying this is going to happen to you at all, okay? But Pisces is a water sign, and I knew someone that drowned, and that really changed my life. There was a big, big thing that rippled out into in my life. Okay, so there's a fundamental change in how you know yourself, and actually that Pisces death, woke me up in a way. This is very much so. Uranus on the ascendant is a very awakening transit, because it makes you aware of where you've been unconscious, right? The rising sign being very unconscious, it'll give you a shock of consciousness into your consciousness, into your unconsciousness. So for example, for me, this was when I started to question the faith I was raised in. I wasn't very serious about Christianity, but like I remember messaging my pastor when this person died, and I was like really? Like, is that really real? Like, is this really what's supposed to happen? The person was very young, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so, and then after that, Uranus being in my first house was very like, change. Who I thought I was continued to change. So let's see. Yeah, that, again, depending on the exact degree of your rising sign there in Gemini, like it's going to be preparing that gradually occurring, right? And so that's just something to track. You know what I mean? The thing about Uranus is that it's not easy to like predict. What people predict with Uranus is unpredictability. So there's just potentially a feeling of like heightened charge in the air, I imagine, or in your own mind. And so this is the other big thing about Pluto and Aquarius, and then of course Uranus and Gemini in this big time, is that what it's wanting from everyone is more consciousness, more perspective, more space between who we think we are and the reality of our consciousness. And so, which doesn't mean we don't identify with the change, we don't feel the change, but it means that the more space that you give yourself to see, not to disassociate, right? We don't, like, it's okay to disassociate, but the idea is not to pop out and create more trauma, although Uranus and Aquarius is the sign of trauma, because it is the sign of where we fracture from the known. Capricorn is the known, reliable, hard world. Aquarius, next sign over. Once everything's been established in the hard world, we have to break it again, because otherwise Saturn will only calcify and die. So the Aquarian is actually what is pushing the Saturn edges more and more and more. Okay, so it's just so important for everyone right now to be doing the Pluto and Aquarius thing, which is to be questioning how we break rules, questioning how we evolve, questioning how we change. Ruled by Uranus in Gemini, it starts in our brain. Okay, that's hard to locate. So where's Mercury in Cancer retrograde right now, right here and right now? Let's see. Your friend drowning story is quite fascinating to me because I'm a Scorpio sun and I almost drowned when I was 11. That raised my consciousness slightly. Yeah, oh, well, I'm glad that resonated. I mean, I don't know if I'm glad, but it's these type of things that are so undeniable. It's such a direct experience. You know, Scorpio sun, depending on when you're born, if you're a millennial with Pluto and Scorpio, there's a good chance that Pluto was around your sun at that time. And in Scorpio, of course, water. I'm not saying that everyone with a Scorpio sun, 1990, yeah, your Pluto's in Scorpio. So depending on if your sun is a later degree than Pluto or before Pluto, and then if Pluto retrograded, like you'd have to kind of look into it. But there's a chance that Pluto transited your sun conjunct, right? Which would very much be a potential death experience. Pluto killing your sun. Pluto totally transforming the sense of self you have in Scorpio, which is death and power. So it doesn't, again, not to say all millennials with a Scorpio sun have had a near-death experience from young, but many who have that Pluto that eventually crossed over their sun maybe a few years after your birth, when you were 11, I wonder, just throwing it out there because I've seen that before. But again, doesn't exactly mean that. So that makes so much sense. My Pluto is 4 degrees and my sun is 3 degrees. 4 degrees of Scorpio? Or is this Watkins Cat House? Sorry, you're saying this makes so much sense. My Pluto is, just let me know what signs that is. Because I know you said that you had a 3-degree Aquarius sun previously. But yeah, guys, I mean, this is where like these direct, it's like fun to be all metaphysical about astrology. Like, trust me, I love it. But it doesn't land as well for people, or as universally. Yes, Scorpio, 4 degree, Pluto, Aquarius, sun, 3 degree. Okay. Yeah. So that's, yeah, this is you are right at the meat of this. You're like, your self-expression, immediate self-expression of who you are right now is Pluto. Like, so you being here is like a representation of Pluto and Aquarius. So I'm sure the gravity of your situation, which doesn't have to be crazy, right? 4 degrees means you've already gotten 2 passes. Oh no, 1 pass. And Pluto's going to come back and you're going to get 3 more passes. At least 3 more passes, I think, of the exact conjunction to your sun at 3 degrees. Oh, actually, yeah. And so there's a lesson over time. I've never had the conjunction to my sun as a transit, but I have had the opposition to my sun. I have a Cancer sun, and so Pluto in a Capricorn opposed my Cancer sun, and I very much so was in very transformative relationships. Because that opposition is always about something outside of you. But if you are the sun, you are very deeply transforming, and there's something very profound going on of the mind. And so whatever, can we contact you for a chart reading? It wouldn't have to be greatly detailed. Let me just get some insights. Yeah, absolutely. I can put in my booking link right now. I have, right now I'm only offering a 90-minute reading, which isn't what you're describing. Like, I usually go into a lot of detail. But I do right now offer a free 15-minute chat. And in that, I won't look at your chart, but if you like know off the top of your head, we can chat. I can consider, like, I'm still figuring out like what my best offerings are for people, but yeah, if you want to get the free 15-minute one, we can chat a bit and see if the deeper one is helpful. I just generally like going very deep with people, and it tends to take a while to kind of sift through stuff, but let me put my Calendly link in here. I should have some time. Let's see. When it went over my sun last year, I moved. Yeah. Pluto and interesting. Yeah, there's some more chart dynamics I would be curious to look at there with a move, but it makes a lot of sense. It must have been a very important move, or like something that was instigated, or like, but whenever a move, a change makes me think of Uranus. Maybe there was something that died, for example, or something that like there was a deeper transformation that instigated this move. Oh, sorry, that was the wrong. I was going to say this one again. But yeah, I mean, this is where, oh, sorry, I wanted to say to this again. I am trying to promote my Patreon, which I'm only asking $5 a month for. And if you do my $5 a month, I'll give you half off a full reading, just because I'm really trying to grow it. So, and I want to do live calls kind of like this in there weekly, but it'll be like your video can be on and we can do group stuff. So if you want to do that as well, or instead, I'll send over my Substack link. It's not Patreon, sorry, it's Substack. I like Substack. Anyway, options. Let's see. Yes, I was coming out of a 10-year marriage. Okay, exactly. The death of the sense of self, like the death of who you are, which until that point was within a relationship. Okay, amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, these are the times, and I think that if we didn't, it's not to say if we didn't have these other transits like Saturn, Neptune, Jupiter, it's hard to say that, right? I don't like working in hypotheticals, but there's a lot of understanding. There's a lot of self, just like sustainability. Like we want to be sustainable in a sense of self right now. We have creative wisdom as well with that Jupiter being near the North Node, the South Node. I mean, and that creative wisdom, it is necessary for us to share that. The wisdom of who we are and who we've been as we've been joyful and happy in Leo. Like what are the lessons that we can revel in and the lessons we can teach from our own happiness, right? Which is crazy if we're looking down the barrel of Pluto and Aquarius right now. Like how are we, like there's enormous amount of strength that we have to allow ourselves to return to, because our brain dies one day. We pick it up again the next day because Jupiter in Leo, it's like, oh, we're reminded that we have a well of creative wisdom that is going head to head with our dying mind right now, okay? It's a dance. It's a dance. It's a dance. Yesterday, I'm a painter and I make my own paint, and I'm running workshops where I live on making your own paint from stones, okay? And it was in Central Park. There was a massive FIFA World Cup, like 50,000 people or something were there. And I just wasn't thinking when I planned this. And so there was a whole crowd of people making huge noise in the park. And I had to change the location of where I was making the paint to like outside of the fence. And so we were making paint like on the ground while the FIFA World Cup was going on. And that is like exactly Jupiter, Pluto. Pluto and Aquarius is the hordes of people at the FIFA World Cup. And then me and my little group of people crushing stones and making paint is very Jupiter in Leo. It was like, and that goes exact today. Okay. Anyway, so I think like, again, it's not always just astrological, like wherever you're seeing huge groups of people, Pluto and Aquarius, wherever you're seeing your own personal unique sense of creative expression, that's Jupiter and Leo. But don't get confused because, like, for example, all the artists that came out in the World Cup, like Shakira, I know all these people like Shakira, Justin Bieber, there were many, many artists. It wasn't just one. And I think that's also the Pluto, that opposition. It's like a fractal thing. Everything is kind of into itself, like everything's multiplying like that. Okay, so except if you're letting yourself land, let's say in the Jupiter in Leo position. So like, again, what is the creative wisdom that you are sharing, and how are you maintaining it with like looking down the barrel of Pluto and Aquarius? Like me yesterday, I was kind of got anxious because I was like, oh my God, I should have planned this better. I shouldn't have done this on this day. But what I had to do was just hold my resolve and just be chill, because it's like, it's fine. We were allowed to be there. Nothing was wrong. But it was a lot of energy over here. And I was trying to do something here, Jupiter, Leo. And then Pluto and Aquarius was over here. And I was like, oh my God, anxious. But then I was like, actually, I'm strong enough for this. I can hold this. We can dance. Like this can coexist. Like I don't need to merge myself into there. I don't need to give up my plans. They don't need to concede to me, obviously. It's coexisting. And so the best thing we can do is go out into the world right now, like share, and don't take as much time to pick yourself back up again to try it again and do it again and do it again. Jupiter moving through this exact opposition means that it is staring down the barrel now. Before the exact opposition, that's called a gibbous phase opposition. It's not full. The full phase is when you actually hit 180 degrees, and then the next like 60 degrees after 180 degrees. Okay, this is very technical, but until it hits 180 degrees like it is today, we're kind of like showing up, but then receding a little bit, showing up and then receding, because we're not fully locked into that yet. But now we are. There's no receding anymore. You have to throw your Jupiter into the mix. But it's not about burning out. It's not about continuously being on offense, for example. The logic of the opposition here is knowing when to advance and when to retreat. Trusting your intuition. Okay? So the balance is, that's the opposition. But the thing is, with astrology like this, we are both. We are both sides. So like, example, right now, I'm Jupiter. Well, I don't know. What do you think? Who's Jupiter in Leo? Who's Pluto in Aquarius? Because you could say, I'm Jupiter in Leo. Hi, Machine of People. Nice to see you. My question for everyone right now is like, are you feeling like in the chats as you're watching me, do you feel more like Jupiter in Leo or Pluto in Aquarius? And am I more Pluto in Aquarius or Jupiter in Leo right now, right? I'm on a screen. You can see me. I can't see you. I would say I'm Jupiter in Leo and you're Pluto in Aquarius. Like you collectively. What do you think? Right? And then like, where in your life are you showing up as Jupiter in Leo? My oldest daughter is Jupiter in Leo. I'm watching her. That's fun. And you're Pluto in Aquarius. Exactly, with your sun right there in Aquarius. That's funny. I'd be curious about her degree of Jupiter in Leo, because she's having a Jupiter return this year. Powerful. Very, very powerful. I mean, that's the thing. Astrology is not only intellectual, and that's part of the reason I'm so adamant about not letting yourself be so defined by it, but seeing how you're placed within it inextricably, but then giving yourself that conscious mental space to connect to part of you that isn't bound by this. Her Jupiter is 16. Yeah, so that'll be a bit further into this transit, but still, that's close enough and that's powerful enough. And plus your North Node on your moon, as you said, that's your daughter too. Anyway, Machine of People is thinking about something here. But yeah, I think the more immediate and direct we see our positioning here, the less we stay in our brains, because our brains are needing to die right now. We are really needing to let it go through a big transformation. And then in order to do that, we do the opposite sign of Aquarius with a Jupiter and Leo. And so there's like, everybody needs to express something creatively. Owen, it's good to see you. I'm so Pluto in Aquarius, a stellium of Sun, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, all within the first 7. How are you? What's happening? What's happening in your life? My goodness. I mean, that's the thing. Like, these are the people that I want the like direct experience of, like, because of course on some level, hi, yay, hi. Like, anyway, direct experience, that's all it is, guys. Like, we can study, we can merge with the symbols, but like, what are you actually directly, like, what do you not have to convince yourself of? The experience, reducing that to like the feelings, the physical sensations. Oh, now my fiance, that was a big part of the move. I moved in with him. So yeah, this Watkins Cat House 3348 was saying that this Watkins Cat House moved when Pluto exactly hit her sun. Or I'm sorry, I don't know your pronouns. I'm sorry if I'm misgendering you. Yeah, so it was a big relationship change. South Node 3. Okay. I moved in with him, South Node 3 Aquarius. Pluto is running over that. It's just, you can't deny any of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not that I have the right interpretation of it, right? It's not even that you have the exact right interpretation of it. You have the interpretation that you need right now. And I do think Pluto in Aquarius is really pushing us to push our interpretations as well, to like see it clearly for the data, for the facts, for that Uranus and Gemini, but to enliven the data, to enliven the facts. Because I don't know if anyone here does Hellenistic astrology. I don't. And I'm very much so not of the camp that planets are in detriment or fall, or right, that moralistic interpretation of a rather neutral vocabulary, like a vocabulary that we create the culture for, and therefore we put the meaning into it. Okay, let's see. My chart says Jupiter 12 Leo, only saying because you asked. I just noticed it's in what you're saying. You're having a Jupiter return too. Look at that. That's great. That's going to be huge. Let's see. Owen says, I've got itchy feet. I'm thinking of emigrating to Italy. Hell, of course. Duh. Okay, go. It might take you a few years because you said your stuff is around 7. But do it. Are you kidding me? Do it. That's easy. That's an easy yes, Owen. Oh my goodness. Plus, you'd learn a new language. Uranus and Aquarius. You move to Italy, you learn a new language. Jupiter and Pallas Athena in Leo, 6th house naturally. I felt a huge shift in my creations. Look at all these fun Jupiter Leo people here. Incredible, guys. And South Node's going to be going over your Jupiter. You guys are like the creative leaders that really need to bring something back out into the world from within you. Are you kidding me? And maybe you don't know this about me either, but I'm really pro. Look at that. Oh, and you're getting encouragement from others here. This is the Aquarius Peanut Gallery. This is very sweet. Let's see here. Jupiter, yeah, the 6th house connection to your body. That's what you're saying. Like, there's a creative intelligence, a creative wisdom, rather. Wisdom is a Jupiter word, I would say. And that's, you've got something to share. South Node is never a drain for me. It can feel draining if you are not pulling your depth up and out to share. Like, it can feel too heavy because there's something you need to excavate. Oh no, feeling left out right now with my Jupiter in Cancer. That's okay. You just had your big time. I wonder what happened for you at your Jupiter return recently. 12-degree Leo rising though. Okay. Well, you're going to have Jupiter on your ascendant pretty soon, right? Which is that's a fun one. I had Jupiter on my ascendant in Pisces a few years ago, and I literally, like, one day in one day decided to go to Mexico. It was like very random, like Jupiter travel. I don't know exactly what the correlation was, but that was what it was. Jupiter on my ascendant, and I just decided to travel like that, which makes me think about Owen too. But yeah, you just had I loved this Jupiter in Jupiter in Cancer transit. I mean, I am a Cancer sun, so it was on my sun, which is a very nice time. But even though it was square Saturn, like, there was some roughness with this Jupiter in Cancer time. It's just the expansion of the emotional truth, Jupiter in Cancer, and we all needed that. We all needed to get that emotional grounding, because that's where anything sustainable grows from. Honesty, emotional honesty. The Mercury retrograde we are having right now, that's ending in a few days, is the same degrees that Jupiter also had gone retrograde. And so we are like, do not feel left out. In fact, you probably have a lot of emotional wisdom to share with people still. I'm reading Italian writer Clara Mattelli's book, Escape from Capitalism. Okay. Come on, Owen, start your reading group. Go to Bologna and start the reading group. Oh my God, Talitha is also a Jupiter in Leo. Currently living in Scotland and US and traveling to Brazil. I know that, Talitha, you are an artist. So are you traveling for art? Look at this. Everyone's so excited now. Jupiter was in my 7th house and I really loved it. A little worried about. Don't worry. Don't worry. Do not worry. Do not worry. I was very worried. Pluto's squaring my moon right now, and I was very worried before it happened. I was feeling awful. I was like very pressured, and I'm still feeling a lot of pressure because my moon is 3 degrees of Taurus, and that square is very much in effect. But I think mentally we can really wig ourselves out a little bit. And Jupiter in the 8th house is a very powerful transit. So do not fear. Fear is the killer of the mind. That's what all the great movies are saying. Jupiter in Cancer was a big return for me. I also started a shirt. Beautiful. Cancer is such a return, like a home. Oh my God, Talitha's traveling for love. What a Jupiter thing. Oh my God, good. I love this. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh, see, this is my fave. Leo and Cancer are actually so similar to me. Um, they're both like, it's like the heart and the soul. It's like the sun and the moon, right, are two luminaries. Leo is ruled by the sun, Cancer is ruled by the moon. Um, but it's just so, it's personal, it's authentic, it's emotional, it's heart based. You know, Cancer is definitely more sensitive, Leo is more prideful potentially, but they're both so unique to who we are right now in the present moment. Look at this. OMG, I watched a brilliant Brazilian film. See, look at you guys. This all happened when you started me journaling last year. Oh my God, I know we had that reading and that time where it was so aligned for you. That was incredible. I'm so happy, Talitha. I'm so happy to see you. I'm sorry I haven't written back to your email yet either. It was so great. Oh, I'm so excited for you to travel. Like, this is such a big, look at this, Jupiter. There's Jupiter-Pluto opposition happening right now. And look at all of these fun Leo people, Aquarius people. Who are we missing? I feel like we're not hearing, I mean, I'm a Taurus moon. What happens when Pluto goes over your moon? It's currently happening to a friend of mine, Aquarius moon 3. It's a good question. I mean, well, if we merge these two archetypes together, right, like before I come in with any like one clear telling, Pluto's death, moon is family, or like your security, your inner sense of self and security. And so there is a really deep transformation that's happening, and an identity change on how you emotionally know yourself. And like, what is safe? What is safety? What is home? What is emotional honesty? So like moon in Aquarius is really interesting. One of the most interesting ones for me, because people with moon in Aquarius, I generally think of it like their emotions are right here. Or like when they communicate emotionally, it's like right outside of themselves. But that's a very Aquarius thing for me. And so Pluto is going to smash that. It's going to force that to transform. They can be a little detached emotionally. And so I think that the ultimate process, let's say, is that there's a deeper like seat in their intellectual emotional selves. Yeah, like my moon's being squared, as I said, so it's not a conjunction, but it is a very hard transit, and it's involving my moon. And I've felt the most vulnerable that I ever have felt in my life. And it's been very, very difficult for me to, and it's a Taurus. But I also have this weird thing in my chart where my natal moon is exactly square my natal Uranus. And so Pluto is conjuncting my Uranus and squaring my moon at the same time. And so I'm kind of just a live wire. So I don't know exactly how to express that. And for your friend as well, there's probably other chart factors, but generally moon Pluto is a change in your safety, a change in your security, wanting to find that on a deeper level. Let's see here. My moon is also Leo. Oh my goodness. And the moon will be in Scorpio on the 23rd. So I noticed they are inverting from my original birthday. Sun in Scorpio, moon is Leo on 23rd. Leo. Ah, yeah. Look at that pattern recognition. Plus, that is when Mercury turns direct and Gemini is ruled. Yep. Look at you. See, people are very smart. You guys are all very smart. Are you going to do a video on the Mercury-Jupiter conjunction? I think I should. I probably should. it's one I've lost sight of a little bit because Mercury and Jupiter got so close when they were both in Cancer, or like when Jupiter was in Cancer, but that conjunction didn't happen. So we're still in the balsamic phase. We're still in this phase of completing something intellectually. And I'm not quite there. This is one of my, I'll give it a crack. I think let's see, the 23rd. I mean, we're really building up into the full moon in Aquarius, which is going to be wacky. So, I mean, it's not actually, but it is. And then eclipse season next month. So yeah, I'll make a video. Thank you for that suggestion. Pluto went over my moon and Lilith in Capricorn 12 years ago. It hollowed me out completely, total metamorphosis. Well, that meant also 12 years ago, because 12 years is a Jupiter cycle, Owen. So that also means that Jupiter was in either Cancer or Leo at this time. And is that right? Yeah, of course that was right. And so I wonder if there was a different relationship to home happening at that time too, an expansion of home even at the same time as that hollowing out. What a good way to talk about Pluto in Capricorn was such hollowing out. And that's generally what we're going to remember. We're not going to remember the Jupiter in Cancer on its own at that point because it was opposing Pluto in Aquarius. I mean, it's interesting that right now we have a Jupiter-Pluto opposition happening again too, right? But I feel Jupiter in Leo is a bit stronger. Maybe I'm just feeling stronger than I did 12 years ago. But Jupiter in Leo can really go to bat in a way that like Jupiter in Cancer just needs to go home, right? We're like at work, Pluto in Capricorn, work is dying and we need to go home and process it. That's the point of the opposition point to Pluto, the Pluto polarity point. In evolutionary astrology, is very important to look at the opposite sign to where Pluto is. And so, and I don't think at that time, I don't know the charts, it's not coming to my brain, but like, I don't think we had this great sextile. Well, obviously we didn't. This is a very rare time we're in right now. But like right now, this Jupiter is very fortified, very strong in a way that I think Pluto was really killing. Like that was around the time, 12 years ago. What year would that have been? I can't do math quickly, but Jupiter, like it's hard. Like home emotional life was being destroyed. I remember at that time, the end of the Pluto and Capricorn time, it was like everyone was learning about emotional labor, right? Like that was kind of the outcome. Cancer, like the labor, which you would normally think of as a Capricorn thing, right? The like labor, but is emotional labor. Like I remember when that was a big Me Too movement. That was also like when, I don't know, people started going to therapists. I don't know what it was, but emotional labor became a really big deal. A talked about thing. It became equal to not everywhere, but many places we started to have a bigger dialogue about where like emotional responsibility, emotional labor, how inextricable that was or is from labor itself. This is very sweet. I'm so glad. Because this is the thing. Everyone's very smart. It's not even about being smart, but this is like, of course you can study it. Of course I studied it. But these are things that it's like the type of pattern recognition that once you lock into it on a level, it should just ripple out really quickly. And that's my goal. Like, I think you should learn it in the way that you are, like, that's the easiest way to learn it for you. And I think that's very much so this Uranus and Gemini time, is that the capacity for us to switch into a language that we can understand is easier now. And so whatever language you already speak, whether that's an actual English language, for example, like follow your own patterning into it. Like the minute we start forcing ourselves into learning in a pattern, or like, I don't know, like paying more attention to it means you have a natural interest in it, right? And that's where purpose is. It's the intrinsic motivation. It doesn't mean everyone needs to be an astrologer or know astrology, but I'm very glad to hear this. That's what I'm trying to say. It's interesting that Pluto uproots us in Capricorn and then changes our cognitive course in Aquarius. Hence, we're in revolution season, right? It's really very well put. See, you guys are very smart. It's not even about me telling you you're smart. I'm very impressed. And this is why I have my own internal conflicts about life, because I'm like, I don't need to teach anything. I just need to make space for people to like share their own thoughts. And this is the like Aquarian perspective thing. Because yeah, anyway, this is very sweet of you. If you want to, like, you can. I'm not very good at marketing myself, but that's fine. But this is very well put, Owen. And it is like, I'm very excited about 2040, because that's when Pluto will enter Pisces. And Owen, I wonder what you would say about Pluto moving into Pisces, because for me, that's going to go over my ascendant. And I feel like so often, of course, we're living in the moment right now, as I've said, but like, I feel like 2040, I'm going to just like completely become very empowered and change, because that's what happens when Pluto goes over the ascendant. So like any Cap risings here or early degree Aquarius risings with Pluto going over the ascendant, like not everyone gets that. I mean, who knows if I'll live that long, right? But I don't want Pluto to move into Pisces because of Gemini stellium. You can survive a Pluto square, I swear. I believe in you. I believe you can survive a Pluto square. So don't worry about that. In fact, it's very empowering. As much as I've said I'm having that Pluto square to my moon right now, it's hard. Psychologically, emotionally, it's hard. And I'm already a Cancer, so I'm a big, crybaby. But you can do it. Shouldn't everyone's Pluto be in the same sign since Pluto moves too slowly? No. So Pluto moves about like one sign every 20 years or so. And it basically tracks to the generations, right? So like boomers, the weird little, like what is it after the boomers, the millennials. There's a little one between boomers and millennials. And so boomers are Pluto and Leo. Wait, is that right? Yeah. Oh, no. Boomers are Pluto in Virgo. Oh, no. I don't know what's the one before boomers, but I'm sorry, after boomers. I'm getting this mixed up, guys. But basically, millennials are Pluto in Scorpio. Gen Z are Pluto in Sagittarius. The whatever screen babies are like Pluto in Capricorn and Pluto in Aquarius. And then Pluto in, like, after millennials, it's hard for me to track in my brain, but basically, to answer this question, people will have the same Pluto sign, essentially of the same generation that we speak to in the world, if that makes sense. But like, for example, there are years when Pluto's moving between signs. And so I don't know, screen babies. I have a 0 degree Pluto Sagittarius. And so, but the thing is, I was raised with millennials. Like I was raised with Pluto Scorpio people. Oh, here we go. Boomers are Leo. Oh, Soulflower. Hi. Oh my goodness. Boomers are Leo. Us, Pluto and Virgo are Gen X. Thank you. These are the terms that I always forget. Bob, right? Oh my God. Bob, it's so good to see you. Bob has a great YouTube channel, you guys. You should go check out. Bob and I studied together with Ari. Bob is having an incredible time right now, I think. I don't know, Bob. I haven't caught up with you in a minute, but I'm glad to see you here. Boomers are Leo, Pluto and Leo. And then Gen X is Pluto and Virgo. And then the Pluto in Libra people, I forgot what they're called, but they're a very small amount. There aren't a ton of people with Pluto in Libra. And then there's a ton of people with Pluto in Scorpio, and then Pluto in Sag. So that's just that. Owen says, Pluto in Pisces makes me think of that old R.E.M. song. I don't know if I know that song, but that makes sense. The way I'm thinking of Pluto in Pisces is like, I think that, like, for example, Pluto in Aquarius is we're going to get all the technology together. And then once Pluto moves into Pisces in 20 years, it'll be actually the time where, like, we're moving our consciousness into different machines. And I don't know what that means spiritually, but I feel like Pluto in Pisces is going to be the time where, like, we kill off mysticism. Like, there's something about like poetry and creativity that becomes so important, and yet we have to change like fundamentally what it is. And I wonder if that's also partially because over these next 20 years of Pluto and Aquarius, we've changed the definition of what humanity is itself, right? We're not doing the Capricorn roles anymore, or like ladder climbing, which means that after 20 years, we'll have arrived at a different purpose, which means that the point of creativity, the point of that Pisces possibility, imagination, that becomes really important. That becomes like the most important thing is, what is your personal truth? What is your personal unknowable truth? And how do you create your vision in the world? Like, that's going to be what is being transformed. It's not like when Pluto kills something, it's gone forever. It's just that Pluto changes things so deeply and so fundamentally that we don't the point is not for us to know what it looks like on the other side. This is so fun. I'm a Capricorn rising. Yeah, then you know what it's like to have Pluto going over your ascendant. What is your opinion on progressed rising signs? My sister-in-law says that rising signs stay the same for life, but Shannon says that if I move to Brazil, my rising sign will shift from Cap to Pisces. I don't know if that's a progressed rising sign change. I think that might be a relocated chart rising sign change. There's a few different ways to look at that, like the relocated chart. So like if you put your birth information, but for a birthplace of Brazil, then you'll see usually that like you should be in a place for more than 3 months for that to really kick in. Progressed rising signs, I definitely feel like they're a good thing to reflect on, but it sounds like you're talking about the relocated chart rising sign, but let me know if that's right. Soulflower says, I think the nodal shift is going to amplify the Pluto. Oh my God. Well, of course, right? Like evolutionary astrology, whenever you have the North Node and Pluto in the same sign, everything gets routed through that North Node and Pluto. Now, when you don't have the North Node and Pluto in the same sign, the logic is you do flow from the South Node into the North Node, and the Pluto is what's flowing from the South to the North. But when Pluto is with the North in the same sign, there's no South Node anymore. It becomes almost irrelevant, which is not something I'm going to like tout too much right now, because we have Jupiter in Leo, and that makes it very, very relevant, the South Node. But for example, I know a lot of people my age or around my age who have both Pluto and the North Node in Scorpio. And that's a very intense placement. And everything of their lives is just transformation after transformation after transformation in very, very deep and profound ways. So I totally agree. This is the Aquarius stuff that like the whole point is going to be about. And I don't know how to necessarily square that South Node, or like how to make sense of the South Node in Leo, given that in this framework, everything pulls through to the North Node. But I'd be curious what you feel about that, Bob. I'm Pluto in Libra. We like to reset law every 250 years, so that it's fair again. Oh, that's so funny. Libra is totally law. You're so right. I forget that about Libra. It's the fairness, the balance, the equality. Reset law is very funny. And Owen, you're going to get a trine, a Pluto trine. So people with Pluto and Libra are going to get a trine from Pluto and Aquarius to Pluto and Libra, which is pretty cool, pretty empowering. It's like not necessarily easy just because it's a trine, but it is like an opportunity to transform. And I think like the opportunity doesn't completely fall apart. Like I had a client who was going through like Pluto trining her Venus or something. Her Venus is in Libra and Pluto was trining it from Aquarius, and her partner of many, many years finally got into a really big fight that made them go to therapy for the first time in 6 years. And like there was never a fear that they would break up, but there was such a fundamental change that they both really changed, but they stayed together, right? So like that Pluto trines are very powerful because they really instigate you from the inside out. They don't necessarily break everything down in the same way I'd say a conjunction, opposition, or square would. But yeah, that's a cool trine situation you've got. Okay, I'm glad relocated feels more accurate, and that's something you can totally do some research on, Googling around. Fun. This is so fun. I love doing this, and I want to do it more, and I'd love to like have you guys on video too. And so if you want to join my Substack, it's very affordable. I'm just doing $5 a month, and like we'll do one of these regularly, and you can actually be, visible. We can hang out. Having Pluto and Scorpio sucks. LOL. I'm a Cap rising, Cap stellium, and Sun and Moon in Aquarius. I'm exhausted. Well, my goodness, you are being hit, and you have been hit, Cap rising, with Pluto crossing your ascendant over the last few years. So that's something you're still coming out of. And then Sun and Moon in Aquarius. Wow, that's a big time of transformation that you're going through. So no wonder you're exhausted, but just breathe. What are some things that you do that help you to feel less exhausted? I mean, that's kind of the question I bring back, because we have so much support with the trines and sextiles right now, just in a sense of self, and a sense of self that's also supported by community. So I wonder, that exhaustion makes so much sense, but like what's keeping you going right now? Soulflower says, I read for someone yesterday that is coming up on her Pluto trine in a year and a half, and she's already doing the work in it. Amazing. That's great. Well, that's the whole long-term thing of Pluto, right? And it's great when you get ahead of it. I don't know if it's actually possible to get ahead of it. Probably. It sounds like it is. My Pluto opposition was really bad, sadly. Pluto opposite to your... Which Pluto? Tell me more about that one. I'm not entirely sure. To what? Pluto opposite to what? Yeah. I'm going to drop my Substack link in case anyone wants to join. You can join for free too, and I'll just send some articles. But if you want to join the $5 a month one, we can hang out like this, and I can see your face too. Pluto in Scorpio gives me a cleansing vibe, like when you scour out the burnt gunk from the bottom of the saucepan. How poetic, Owen. I love it. That's totally how it is as an archetype, right? Pluto is in its home sign in Scorpio, and it's like a whole lifetime of cleaning a drain. It's like a whole lifetime of snaking a drain. And it's very intense. But that's beautifully poetic. Like when you scour out the burnt gunk from the bottom of the saucepan. That's why these are great, like detectives, like detective work, psychological work, therapists. How many therapists you know with Pluto and Scorpio? Like millennial therapists, right? So many. My sister's a millennial and she's a therapist. Pluto and Scorpio. Totally. Okay. I'm so sorry. It was my Saturn opposition. Saturn opposition to Saturn. I mean, oppositions are really hard, especially with these big outer planets, because you again, stare down the barrel of something that is opposite to you. And the point is not to become that. The point is for you to hold the two at once, to know when to go in, when to go out, when to dance, when to rest. It's a relationship that you cannot escape. So yeah, very cool, you guys. So yeah, this all stems from Pluto and Aquarius on its own. And interesting, like maybe the last thing I'll say before I close out is we're going to have a few different vibes over the next 20 years, because the ruler of Aquarius, which is Uranus, will shift signs a few times. Let me double check. We have Uranus will be in Gemini until 2032. We will have Uranus in Cancer until 2039. And then we'll have Uranus in Leo from 2045, which means that by the end of the Pluto and Aquarius transit, its ruler will oppose it, which is crazy to think about right now. Crazy to think about. My Pluto is also in Leo, currently undergoing massive change in every level. You're having a Pluto opposition, which is amazing. Not everyone is going to get that opposition. Oh, this is sweet, Brandy. But yeah, this is incredible. Right? Oh my goodness. Imagine a Pluto opposition. I think that this is because Pluto moved quite quickly through Scorpio, but Pluto doesn't spend the exact same time in every sign, and so not everyone alive will get a Pluto opposition. Like, not everyone in their life will get this. And so, my goodness. So you're going to get Jupiter transiting your Pluto over the next year, conjunct your Pluto, and then Pluto transit in Aquarius. That is a powerful contribution, I would say. Like, your art, your love is existing in a powerful relationship to the collective right now. And your job is to hold it. It's like Pluto versus Pluto. It doesn't need to be a winner. That's not the point anymore. But it's about like coexisting, your joy, your art, your romance, your love, like as a beacon of hope for the like cold world that we are living in, like that the community, like that the world at large, how much death we're encountering in our consciousness and our perspective. Talitha, I'm excited to read about your life or to hear more about what's going on, because that's like the direct experience, you know? Thank you for sharing with us. So exciting. See, it's also amazing when people know their charts and then we can like corroborate stuff with each other. You know what I mean? So yes, this has been so fun, you guys. I'm probably going to pop off in a few minutes. So if anyone else wants to write, do the Mars and Gemini thing, do the Mercury and Cancer thing. Owen says, Pluto and Leo will have a grand fire. Ah, there you go. See? How smart is that, Owen? See, there are so many different like things to like think about and consider. And when you give everyone the opportunity to chime in, like, and I think everyone's quite kind here. Like, I'm not, no one likes to hang out with me who isn't nice. Like, I'm too much of a baby for people to like be mean around me. Pluto and Leo will have a grand fire trine every time the moon arrives in Sag. Keep an eye out for that every month. That sounds fascinating. So this is Talitha's Pluto and Leo making a trine to, depending on the degree, right? Making a trine to either Saturn or Neptune in Aries. And then when the moon moves through Sagittarius, you get a grand fire trine. That's what Owen is talking about. Grand fire trine, enormous creative opportunity. And I think the missing piece there with Sagittarius is the emotional freedom that we feel, like the emotional connection to nature, the Sagittarius to like the truth. And so that's really an outlet, an emotional outlet. Amazing. Okay, that's very sweet. Yes, thank you to everyone. Thanks for subscribing. That's very sweet. I'm not really playing the YouTube game like I should. It's hard, but this is very fun. This is like the most fun I have of like the many years I've been trying to figure YouTube out. So I'm so happy to connect with everyone. Subscribe if you would like. Oh, one more thing, if you would like, is, oh wait, I'm going to say this first. Thank you, Owen. By the way, my oldest son's name is Owen. I composed a song called Owen's Boat. Amazing. I love this. I'm doing a webinar next Tuesday that I'd love you to join, $20 with me and Jen of Full Cup Astrology. And we're talking about the Saturn-Neptune phase in your birth chart. And it's very cool if you are building something right now to get in touch with like how you are naturally patterned to build your dream. So we're going to be going through all the different phases that exist between Saturn and Neptune and like how that shows up in your chart, which basically means like how are you naturally Saturn building your dream, Neptune. Okay, so there'll be some writing exercises and then we'll go through the phases and we'll talk to each other. And it's just to bolster support for everyone who's building out a dream right now, hopefully accessible. So I will put that right here. It's going to be 7 p.m. next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I would love to see you there. I really appreciate your guys' support. I appreciate you being here. It really makes it very fun for me. I consider quitting all the time. I shall not. Julian and I did a whole hour chatting. Oh my God, you're right. Owen and I recorded a video a few months ago, you guys, if you want to go watch it. And it was about boats. That's right. How fun. How fun. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yes. Okay. Well, guys, I am going to tap out here after these 90 minutes. 90 minutes is my perfect setup. That's how long I do readings for too. And so I'm really happy because sometimes when I go on lives, like no one's there for the first 15 minutes, but then people come in. And so, yay, me too, Talitha. It's so great to see you and interact with you. So, sadly, it's got too many video clips. Oh, is that right? I didn't even notice. Okay, that's all right. It's all right. Don't worry. We just try again. Do the Aquarius thing. Just try again. All right. Okay, my friends. So good to be with you all. Please, would love to see you again in any capacity. Hope we can do a live again soon. And enjoy the Jupiter opposition to Pluto today and this great week ahead. Mercury direct, right. Feel until Sunday. And I will be back. Okay? Bye-bye.